Inner critics aren't loud because they hate you. They're loud because they're afraid you're going to ignore them. They're loud because they have something to tell you. They're loud because they're worried they won't have a seat at the table. Let's look at how your inner critic can help you when it comes to your dreams. You're never too busy, too tired, too old, or too anything to pursue your dreams. Welcome to the Distracted Dreamer podcast, where you'll learn how to move all those never-ending distractions aside and chase your dreams with confidence. Well, hello, dreamers. If you've been here before, welcome back. And if this is your first time here, a very warm welcome to you. I'm your host, Carlene, and I just want to say before we get started that I am so proud of you for showing up for yourself in your dreams. It is so important to prioritize you. In creating this podcast, it has been a labor of love, and hearing your ahas along the way, it makes it mean so much more than I ever could have imagined. So thank you. All right, friend, grab your favorite beverage, shut out all distractions, and grab a notebook or your notes app because you're going to want to remember what I share with you today. Let me ask you, what would you say is the thing that distracts us the most from pursuing our dreams? Is it social media? No. How about our phones? No. What about people constantly interrupting us? No. What about our unorganized or chaotic environment? No. Well, then what? What is our number one distraction? It's our thoughts. Yes, the most distracting thing is going on inside of us. Our biggest distraction is all up in our heads. If you've ever struggled with a highly active, extremely loud inner critic, then this is the episode for you. I hear it all the time. There's this belief that we should silence our inner critic. And I get it. After all, it's that voice that judges and criticizes and demeans you, and it takes a costly toll on your emotional well-being and self-esteem. But hold on. Before we try to silence and kill the inner critic, I invite you to think of your inner critic as another person or character separate from you. Next, think about your inner critic from an evolutionary perspective. The inner critic's voice, it developed as a form of protection to keep us alert to social cues and potential risks, and it gives us a chance to prepare so that we can stay safe. And over time, the inner critic's voice that is there to protect us has blended with a mix of early influences in our lives, like our parents, teachers, and the whole load of society's expectations. And all that imprinted into a part of our brain, the prefrontal cortex, that's linked with how we self-monitor. So stay with me while I geek out for a quick minute on the neuroscience behind your inner critic. You see, the inner critic, it activates in the brain's prefrontal cortex, that part of your brain right behind your forehead. And this is where reasoning, planning, and impulse control reside. It's helpful in moderation to check in with us to make sure we're being reasonable or keeping us from taking impulsive risks. It says, hey, let's slow your roll and self-monitor. But when it's too loud or constant, it can trigger stress responses, including feelings of, I'm not good enough, and anxiety. So you see, it's not that your inner critic has bad intentions. Its main goal is to protect you. But bad things happen when you give your inner critic free rein and let her run amok in your head. We've been so busy trying to silence our inner critic that we never even considered a different option. This will shock you. Having an inner critic isn't all bad. In fact, when you engage your inner critic in a useful way, it can move from foe to friend. Remember the saying, keep your friends close and your enemies closer? You want to keep your inner critic close. Get strategic with how you interact with it. You can be in charge of your inner critic instead of it taking charge of you. Now, this being said, You decide when you allow your inner critic to join you. I need my inner critic. I just don't need her all the time. She's terrible at the start of projects. She's the worst at brainstorming, but she's great at checking the final details when the project is almost done. The lesson is to not fight her. I just invite her to the right parts of my life. So my motto with my inner critic is don't fight, invite. Now, my inner critic is loud, and it is equipped with the greatest memory of all time. She's able to easily reach into the recesses of my life and dredge up mistakes I made in the 3rd grade. Remember that time you left your art project on the bus? That was a gift for your mom, and your mom had to call the bus company begging them to look for it, but it was never found? Yeah, your mom never got the gift. Do you remember that, my inner critic asks? I do now, I reply. When I talk to me, I talk mean. In recognizing that, I did what most people do when they identify an inner critic, and I tried to kill it. I tried to ignore it. I went to war with it, hoping that I could beat it back to whatever dark recesses I believed it came from. For years, maybe you can relate to this, I read books and blogs and Instagram posts that promised me it was possible to quiet your inner critic. None of it worked. And all that think positive advice, does not do it either. My inner critic kept coming back. It kept getting loud. Then one day, I had a bit of an epiphany. A burst of insight found me in the middle of a walk. And here's what I realized. I need my inner critic. I just don't need her all the time. I just need her in the right moments. I need my inner critic to be my source for accountability. I also need my inner dreamer. I just don't need her all the time either. I just need her in the right moments. I need my inner dreamer to be my source of inspiration. Think of these two characters as serving two different but equally important purposes. Your inner critic is your source of accountability. Your inner dreamer is your source of inspiration. Having these two different internal characters of inner critic and inner dreamer, it gives you the control back. The question is, what would happen if instead of trying to kill and silence your inner critic, you just started inviting her to the times you need her the most? Here's how this looks for me. I don't need my inner critic at the start of projects. When I'm trying to dream up something new, her advice isn't helpful. She questions my originality and my talent. If I'm trying to blue sky some new adventure, it could be planning a family vacation or writing a book or coming up with a new coaching program. Her words are very destructive. The inner critic, she's terrible at dreaming. She has an incredible vision for the smallest possible mistakes and disasters that could happen with any project. It is in the dreaming, brainstorming moments that I need my inner dreamer, not my inner critic. But my inner critic's level of detail is invaluable in other moments. So for instance, after I'm done dreaming and I'm in it doing the work, I tap into my inner critic to analyze my work more objectively. It allows me to hone my creative skills and to make whatever I'm working on more impactful and more authentic. When I am about to publish a podcast, I need her ears. My inner critic is amazing at pointing out mistakes. She's so detailed in so many different ways. I need her checking for the ums and uhs, all the redundant phrases and the lazy sentences, where I clearly phoned it in because I was tired. When I'm reviewing my monthly expenses and gross revenue for my business, I don't need my inner dreamer. I don't need the creative part of me with her head in the clouds saying, anything is possible, we just need to believe. In that moment, I need my inner critic to say, wait a second, what's this number right here? We spent how much on what? I need her cold, analytical, take no excuses attitude to analyze every single one of the numbers in my business. I need my inner critic. I just need her in the right moments. Let's say you and your inner dreamer have been dreaming and now things are going to get real. You got to start taking some steps to make those dreams a reality. This is the time that your inner critic is going to get loud. Inner critics aren't loud because they hate you. They're loud because they're afraid you're going to ignore them. They're loud because they have something to tell you. They're loud because they're worried they won't have a seat at the table. Let's look at how your inner critic can help you when it comes to your dreams. So let's say your dream is to achieve financial independence. Your inner critic can push you to scrutinize your spending habits and your financial decisions. It can ask you questions like, are these expenses really necessary? Or is this investment really a sound choice? And this helps because instead of feeling restricted, the inner critic makes you feel supported, and it helps you create a healthy financial review process. And its insights can help you set a budget, track expenses, make smarter choices that will lead you closer to financial independence. How about another example here? So many of us have this dream. If your dream is to improve your health and fitness, the inner critic can be useful in holding you accountable. It might point out if you're skipping workouts or not following through on your nutrition plans. Use your inner critic as an accountability partner. Instead of letting it shame you, let it prompt you to ask, am I doing my best to reach this goal? This can keep you motivated and consistent, especially on those really hard days. Okay, the next one for my fellow writers out there. You know how hard it is to write a book, and you know that the inner critic can be soul-crushing at the beginning of it. It critiques ideas before they're fully formed. But in the editing stage, it becomes invaluable. It points out inconsistencies, it can highlight weak plot points, and it suggests where the writing could be stronger. So by inviting your inner critic to only the editing process, you make sure the book is polished without stifling your creativity in the very early stages. I think that's really amazing. What if you are considering a big life change? Maybe your dream is to move to a new city, or you're changing careers. Your inner critic may bring up questions like, have I thought this through? What's my backup plan if things don't go as expected? Okay, how is this helpful? Well, the inner critic, it can help you prepare for potential setbacks. And these questions prompt you to research housing and job opportunities, or financial impacts like the cost of living impacts, right, to make that transition smoother. So you can fight your inner critic. You can try to shut it up. I mean, maybe there's some type of yoga or candle that makes her go away forever, but I haven't found it. So instead, try this. Befriend your inner critic and tell them there's a specific spot for them. Well, how do you do this, you ask? I am going to give you 8 things you can do to welcome both your inner critic and your inner dreamer to the conversation. You don't necessarily need to do them all. You might already know the habits of your inner critic, so you might be able to skip a couple steps. But just go through these steps with me here, and you might want to grab a pen and paper or get out your notes app to capture any of these. Just see what resonates with you. Some of these I think are really, really powerful. The first thing that you want to do, and I've already alluded to this, is spend 10 minutes journaling about the critical thoughts that come up most often. Describe your inner critic as a character. Give it a name. Describe its tone. And jot down the typical phrases that it uses. So you want to identify and name your inner critic. And doing this can help separate it from your core identity, which makes it easier to engage with it constructively. You'll start to notice its voice without letting it actually define your actions. The second thing that you can do is you can track the inner critic's patterns. So for a week, keep a log whenever you hear your inner critic. Write down the situation, what triggered it, and how it made you feel. Include some notes on whether the criticism was helpful or was it just harsh. This is going to help you recognize patterns. For example, you might find that your inner critic is loudest when you're in your creative pursuits, or maybe it's in new social situations. Recognizing the triggers helps you plan when to bring in your dreamer to balance out the negativity. The third thing that you can do is you can set some boundaries for your inner critic. So decide the specific moments when you're going to invite your inner critic in. For example, maybe during final revisions on a project or budget reviews. Remind yourself that you don't need it in dreaming or brainstorming sessions. So the setting boundaries, it allows you to take control of when and how your inner critic shows up. This lets you use it as a tool rather than letting it undermine your confidence or creativity. Number 4, cultivate your inner dreamer. Schedule some dream time each week where you let your mind just freely explore your dreams and your ideas without any judgment. You can set a timer for 20 minutes and use this time to brainstorm or imagine what your future is going to look like with no limits. In this practice, it builds a mental habit of letting your dreamer lead. The inner dreamer, it thrives on all those possibilities and your imagination. And those are all essential for staying motivated and excited about your goals. Number 5 is to write a balanced self-talk script. I really, really like this one. This one is really powerful. And what you're going to do here is you're going to draft a short script to use when your inner critic gets too intense. So for example, your script might sound something like, I hear your concern, but I'm letting my dreamer take the lead right now. I'll bring you in when it's time for feedback. Practice saying it when critical thoughts come up. The purpose of this is that this script is a reminder that both voices are valuable in the right moments. It helps you manage the critic by redirecting its energy constructively, and it reinforces the importance of your inner dreamer. The 6th thing you can do is you can reframe critical thoughts as questions. This one I also love. Whenever your inner critic says something negative, try reframing it as a question instead. So if your inner critic says, this will never work, reframe it as, what steps can I take to make this work? You see, reframing criticisms as questions transforms them into constructive prompts that encourage you to grow and to problem solve instead of doubting yourself. Number 7, invite your inner critic into reflection, not planning. So when you complete a project or you reach a milestone, set aside time for a review with your inner critic. Actually, make a meeting with your inner critic. Ask it to help you identify what went well and what could improve. Make sure it's involved in constructive reflection, not planning new ideas. What this does is this strengthens your inner critic's role as a collaborator rather than being an obstacle. It also leaves the planning and dreaming stages free of criticism. That fosters more excitement and gives you more clarity around your dreams. And finally, number 8, this is my most favorite of all, is to visualize your dreamer and critic working together. So close your eyes and visualize your dreamer and critic as partners. Imagine them collaborating on a project, with your dreamer leading the creative phases and your critic stepping in at the refinement stages. Picture how each of them contributes to your success. This is so powerful because this visualization, it can help reframe your relationship with the inner critic, making it feel like an asset rather than a liability. And it really reinforces the idea that both voices, when they're balanced, can support your dreams. Okay, we made it through all 8 steps. So let's just review those really quickly so you can check your notes and make sure that you've captured them all. You can also hit the rewind button in your podcast player to capture anything you might have missed. So the first thing is to identify and name your inner critic. Very, very important. The second thing that you want to do is you want to track the critic's patterns. Number 3 is to set boundaries for your inner critic. Boundaries, very, very important for everybody, including your inner critic. The 4th thing that you can do is cultivate your inner dreamer. Give yourself that important time to dream where you don't let in the inner critic at all. Number 5 is to write a balanced self-talk script. This is powerful, that you start engaging with your inner critic in a very constructive way, and this is going to help you do that. Number 6 is to reframe all those critical thoughts as questions into constructive prompts. Number 7 is to invite your inner critic into reflection, not planning. Have your inner critic show up for a review session so you can see how things are going. Your inner critic is going to be very honest with you, and that's a good thing. And finally, number 8 is to visualize your dreamer and your critic working together. They are a team with you. And when they are collaborating and you are getting the best from both your inner critic and the best from your inner dreamer, you are going to be unstoppable when it comes to your dreams. So that wraps up 8 things you can do to start managing your inner critic. You no longer have to silence it or kill it. So let's let go of that and try one of these 8 steps. Try many of them. See what works for you. Okay, I know that seemed like a lot of steps. And again, you don't have to do all of them. Play around with those that resonated with you today and see what happens. See how your relationship with your inner critic changes. Because these steps, they're designed to help you keep your dreams alive and actionable. And when there's a respectful balance between your inner dreamer and your inner critic, your dreams, they can thrive without being stifled. So no longer do the thoughts of your inner critic have to distract you. You now have some tools so you can use your inner critic to help you focus on important aspects of your dreams. You know how to get your inner critic and inner dreamer to collaborate with you on your dreams. Isn't that amazing? Use your inner critic as a source of accountability and use your inner dreamer as a source of inspiration. They each play a vital role in keeping your dreams moving forward. Alrighty, if you enjoyed this episode today, would you please do me a favor and share it with someone that you care about? I thank you, and I know they'll thank you too. And finally, don't forget to go to the link in the show notes to take that 2-minute quiz called What's Your Dream Personality Type? I'm telling you, this quiz, it's going to show that no matter where you are in life, you do have the potential to pursue your dreams. And this quiz is going to give you some great clarity on what your next step is. Thanks so much for tuning in. Remember, your dreams are waiting for you. Your time is now. And I can't wait to see you in the next episode. Oh, and one more thing. This is the legal language. You know, the stuff that the lawyers put together, and they say that I need to read this to you. So here we go. This podcast is presented solely for educational and entertainment purposes. I'm just your friend. I'm not a licensed therapist. This podcast is not intended as a substitute for the advice of a physician, professional coach, psychotherapist, or other qualified professionals. Got it? Good. I will see you in the next episode.